I used to go for private math lessons at my teacher's house. His name was Mr. Raymond, a calm man in his early 40s who always wore crisp shirts and a polite smile. On Saturdays, class ended at 8. That evening, when I was packing my notebook, he looked at me and said softly, "Come tomorrow too. There's one topic I want to explain again." It surprised me because Sunday was always off. Still, the way he said it made me think it was important, so I nodded. That night I couldn't stop wondering why he wanted me there on a Sunday night at 8:30. The street outside his apartment would be quiet, the lights dim, the building almost empty. But he was my teacher and I trusted him. Maybe he just wanted to help me score better. When Sunday came, I dressed simply, jeans, white top and my favorite brown jacket. The sky was cloudy, and the wind carried that strange calm that comes before something unexpected. As I reached the tuition center, most of the lights were off except the one in his room. I knocked gently. He opened the door almost immediately as if he had been waiting. His tone was different that night, too friendly, too personal. He smiled in a way that made my heart beat faster, though I didn't understand why. "Come in, Emily," he said. "You're right on time." The small classroom felt different too. The chairs were moved aside, and only one table remained in the middle. A single lamp cast a warm yellow light that touched the corners of the room. "Where everyone?" I asked. He smiled again. "No one else today, it's just a short revision. You learn faster when it's quiet." I sat down, opened my notebook and tried to ignore the unease building inside me. He leaned over my shoulder, explaining a few equations, his breath too close, his tone too slow. I tried to move a little, but the chair felt smaller than usual. When I looked up, his eyes weren't on the board, they were on me. He stepped back suddenly and said, "You trust me, right?" The question felt strange. My hands froze over the notebook. "Yes," I answered weakly. He turned toward the shelf, pretending to take a file, then stopped. "Sometimes," he said quietly, "you remind me of someone I once loved." My heart skipped. I forced a laugh. "You mean your student?" But he didn't smile this time. "No, my fiancée, she left me 2 years ago." The air grew heavy. I didn't know how to respond. The sound of the wall clock felt louder. I looked at the door, wishing I had told someone I was coming. Then his phone buzzed, breaking the silence. He checked it, turned it face down and said, "Let's finish quickly." I nodded, pretending to solve a question, but his eyes didn't leave me. Every time I looked up, I caught him watching. The warmth of his gaze made my skin crawl. I tried to speak about the topic again, but he leaned closer until I could smell his cologne. Something inside me whispered that I should leave. I closed my notebook slowly and said, "I think I understood, I should go." But he stepped between me and the door. "Wait, just one more thing." His voice was lower now. I froze. He looked at me like he was fighting something inside himself. "Do you ever feel lonely?" he asked. My pulse raced. I didn't answer. I just picked up my bag and whispered, "It's late." For a second his face changed, like guilt passed through it. He stepped aside, letting me leave. I rushed down the stairs, heart pounding, not daring to look back. When I reached home, I locked my door, sat on the floor and cried without knowing why. Something about his eyes, his words, his silence, it all felt wrong. But the next day he texted me, "You forgot your notebook. Come tomorrow, I'll give it back." I didn't want to go, yet part of me was scared that if I didn't, he might get angry or tell others I was being careless. So I replied, "Okay." Little did I know, that message was the beginning of everything that would change my life. The next day felt longer than usual. Every hour dragged as I kept thinking about that Sunday night, about the silence, the way he looked at me, the strange calm before I left. I told myself I was overthinking. He was a teacher, maybe just lonely. Still, something in my chest whispered, "Don't go." But fear can be louder than intuition. Fear of being judged, fear of people saying I made a mistake. So at 7:45 p.m., I found myself walking toward the tuition center again. The streetlights flickered, the wind felt colder and the building stood like a shadow waiting for me. When I knocked, the same warm yellow light glowed inside. He opened the door with that same soft smile. "Emily," he said, "you came." "I just came to get my notebook," I replied quickly. He moved aside, letting me in. The room was tidier this time, but the air still carried that uneasy quiet. My notebook lay on the table, perfectly placed in the center, like it had been waiting. I picked it up, ready to leave, but he stopped me. "You forgot something else," he said. What? He pointed at the chair. Sit down for a second, there's something I want to talk about. I hesitated. I really should go, Mr. Raymond. Please, he interrupted softly, just 5 minutes. His voice was calm, persuasive, the kind that makes you obey even when you don't want to. I sat down slowly. He walked closer and leaned on the table. You're one of my best students, Emily. You're focused, smart, different from others. You have no idea how rare that is. I forced a small smile, unsure what to say. Compliments from a teacher should feel encouraging, but his eyes made them heavy. He continued, do you know why I called you yesterday? It wasn't about math. My heart stopped. Then why? He looked down for a moment, then met my eyes. Because I can't stop thinking about you. The words hit me like a slap. My notebook slipped from my hand. Mr. Raymond, please don't. Listen, he said quickly. I know this sounds wrong. I know you'll say it's not appropriate. But you don't understand. You remind me of the woman I lost. The way you talk, the way you care about small things, you bring peace to my mind. I stood up. You're my teacher, I said firmly. This isn't right. He sighed and smiled weakly. I expected you to say that. That's what makes you even more special. I stepped back, gripping my bag tightly. My voice trembled. I'm leaving. Before I could reach the door, he said something that froze me. If you tell anyone, he whispered, no one will believe you. They'll only believe me. The tone of his voice, calm, certain, scared me more than anything. I left without another word, ran out of the building and didn't look back. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying his words. He was respected in town. Everyone trusted him. And I was just a 25-year-old student trying to improve her grades. If I said anything, they'd think I was lying. So I stayed quiet. Days passed, but silence didn't bring peace. It brought messages. Every evening he'd text, you didn't come today, or I miss our talks, or I hope you're not afraid of me. I ignored him, but one night he sent a picture. It was my notebook, open to a page where I had written some personal notes on the back, something I never wanted anyone to read. He had taken a photo of it. Beautiful handwriting, his message said. That night I felt both angry and helpless. He had my words, my trust, and now my fear. For 2 weeks I stayed away from tuition completely. I deleted his number, avoided his street, tried to erase everything. But one evening, while walking home from work, I saw him standing near my building. He wasn't smiling this time. Why are you avoiding me? He asked. I'm not, I lied, my voice shaking. I just have work. He stepped closer. Don't make me look bad, Emily. People might think you're saying wrong things about me. I haven't said anything, I whispered. He smiled again, that same cold smile I had begun to hate. Good, keep it that way. And then he left, leaving me trembling under the streetlight. That night I decided to write everything down, every word, every message, every date. I wanted proof in case he ever tried to twist the truth, but while I was writing my phone buzzed again. It was an unknown number this time. You think you can hide, the message read. My hands shook. I blocked the number, but new ones kept coming, messages, missed calls, pictures of random streets near my office. He was following me. The fear became constant. I started changing my route every day, looking behind me every few steps. I couldn't tell anyone, not even my mother. She would have blamed me. Society always blames the woman, even when she's the one scared. One night I decided to record everything. I placed my phone in my pocket and went to meet him one last time. I wanted to confront him, tell him to stop. I thought maybe if I stayed calm he would understand. When I reached the center, the lights were dim again. He was sitting there waiting. You came, he said softly. I knew you would. This has to stop, I said. Whatever this is, it's not right. He smiled. You think you can just walk away after everything? After what? I asked. He laughed quietly. Oh, Emily, you'll understand soon. I felt a chill run through my body. Something in his tone was darker now, like he was hiding something more than feelings. Before I could leave, he walked to the table and picked up a small flash drive. You remember the camera in the classroom? He asked. It records everything, even Sunday. My heart sank. What do you mean? He turned the flash drive between his fingers. You looked nervous that night. People could misunderstand things, so maybe you should stay quiet for your own good. I froze, my mind screamed. He had recorded me alone, scared, unaware. That night I realized this wasn't about obsession anymore, it was control. When I went home, I sat in the dark for hours. I knew I couldn't fight him alone, but I also knew silence was exactly what he wanted. So the next morning I gathered courage, copied all the messages, printed them, and went straight to the police station. That's when I found out the truth that shattered me. Mr. Raymond wasn't just a teacher. He had left his previous job after a student complaint, one that was never proven. And now I was the second girl. When I walked out of the police station that morning, I felt both weak and powerful at the same time. Weak because I had spent the whole night shaking in fear, powerful because I had finally spoken up. The officer who took my report, Detective Harris, listened carefully. He looked serious, concerned, but his tone was steady. "Emily, we've had other complaints about him," he said, "but no one had proof before. You might have just done something important." His words gave me hope, but only for a while. Days passed and nothing happened. No calls, no visits, no arrest. I felt like my truth was disappearing in the same silence that had always protected him. Then one evening, I received another message. "You think the police can save you?" My hands turned cold. He knew, he always knew. That night, I sat by the window of my small apartment in Chicago, the rain hitting the glass like restless fingers. I stared at my reflection, tired eyes, pale face, fear hiding under every breath. I whispered to myself, I won't run anymore. If no one would stop him, I would. I remembered the small flash drive he once held, the one he used to threaten me. That was my target now. If I could get it, I could expose him. The next day, I sent him a message for the first time since that night. "Can we meet one last time? I don't want any problems." He replied almost instantly. "Tonight, 8:30, same place." My heart raced. I felt sick, but I had to go, not as a frightened girl this time, but as someone who had decided to end it. I placed a small hidden camera in my jacket pocket, the kind that records both video and audio. Detective Harris had given it to me quietly, saying, "We can't move without proof, but be careful." That night the center looked the same, quiet, dim, waiting. I could hear the echo of my footsteps as I entered. He was sitting near the table, smiling like nothing had ever gone wrong. "You came," he said. "I knew you'd understand me one day." I stood there steady. "I didn't come to understand you, I came to end this." He laughed softly. "You think you can end what's already begun?" I took a step closer. "You said you have recordings of me. Give them to me and I'll disappear from your life." He tilted his head, amused. "So you finally admit you're scared?" I didn't answer. Silence can be powerful when it's heavy enough. I waited until he turned toward the drawer to take out the flash drive. That was the moment my camera caught everything, his words, his actions, his threats. He placed the small drive on the table and looked at me. "You're beautiful when you're quiet, Emily. That's how I want you to stay." I felt my heartbeat in my ears. My hand shook as I reached for the drive. "Not anymore," I said. He frowned. "What?" "Quiet, I won't stay quiet anymore." I grabbed the flash drive and ran toward the door. He shouted behind me, his voice sharp, echoing through the corridor. I didn't look back. I just ran, faster than I ever had in my life. When I reached the police station, breathless and soaked from rain, I handed the flash drive to Detective Harris. "He has others," I said. "He records everything." They acted fast this time. The next morning, police cars surrounded the tuition center. Mr. Raymond was taken away in handcuffs, his face still calm, his eyes still trying to control everything. But the truth was out. The flash drive didn't just have my recording, it had videos of other girls too. Girls who never spoke, girls who stayed quiet because they thought no one would believe them. For days my phone didn't stop ringing, the police, reporters, lawyers. Everyone wanted to know how I had found the courage. But I didn't feel brave, I just felt free. One afternoon, Detective Harris called me in. He confessed, he said. "You saved others by speaking up." I walked out of the station, the sunlight warm on my face. For the first time in months, I wasn't afraid of shadows. I deleted every old message, every picture, every trace of him, but I kept one thing, my notebook, the same one I had left behind that Sunday. On the last page, I wrote a single line. "Sometimes the teacher you trust most is the lesson life uses to teach you strength." Weeks later, I received a letter from one of the other girls who had been silent before. She wrote, "Because of you I spoke too, thank you." Tears filled my eyes. I realized that what he meant for silence had turned into something louder than his threats, the truth. Now when I walk past the old tuition building, I don't look away anymore. I smile faintly and whisper, "Lesson learned." Because that's what life is, full of lessons that break you just to rebuild you stronger. And even though the memory still hurts, I'm no longer the scared student who knocked on the door that Sunday night. I'm the woman who walked out, fought back, and turned her fear into fire.